is spreading. It's like fire all over the world. According to the Anti-Defamation League, in only 18 days since the war started, there reported at least 882 anti-Semitic rallies, demonstrations, and incidents worldwide. In Austria, 76 anti-Semitic incidents reported. In France, 588 anti-Semitic incidents reported. In Germany, the number of incidents reported has surged by 240% compared to the same time last year. And lastly, since October 1st in the UK, 218 anti-Semitic hate crimes reported. That's a shocking 13 times greater than the same period last year. Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt joins me. And the ADL, by the way, is one of the oldest civil rights groups in America. It was founded in 1930 to, quote, to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and a fair treatment to all. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you, Greta.
You know, sir, the numbers are staggering that we're seeing, but I think in some ways, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's because we're reporting them. Because I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and prior to October 1st, in the local paper, we've been reading about all anti-Semitic incidents in Montgomery County, which is a suburb of Washington, D.C. They just don't get the high profile, but I imagine it is spiking now.
Yeah, look, Greta, we're living through historic times, and it's the wrong kind of history. Prior to the Hamas massacre in Israel, we saw anti-Semitic incidents reach an all-time high in this country. And we've been tracking the data for almost 45 years, and 2022 was the worst year we had ever seen. The numbers in 22 were more than 500% greater than a decade earlier. So the data that we're seeing now, we've almost seen a 400% increase on top of those already elevated levels. And when you have pro-Hamas demonstrations marching down Main Street, no one should be surprised when Jewish people are being assaulted in New York, in D.C., in Detroit, in Indianapolis, all over the country.
Why is it? I mean, like, let's go back before October 1st.
Yeah.
But I mean, and there were so many anti-Semitic events. You know, I'm old enough to have had, you know, my family. I mean, parents and my friends' parents. They were in World War II. You know, so so the horrors. You know, I'm old enough to have a little better sense of the horror.
Yeah.
But why has this been growing?
Well, look, anti-Semitism has been normalized. It's been used by radicals on the left. We see some of them in Congress. It's become it's like a staple at universities where they spout anti-Zionist hate. And to be clear, Greta, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. Full stop. We also have, you know, white supremacists and far-right extremists who make wild claims about Jews wanting to replace us, or, you know, that Jews are somehow trying to change the country. So taken together, these extremes have now come into the mainstream, and they set the table for what's happening today. Last night in D.C., as you may have seen, at GW, some lunatic put on the wall of the library with lights a sign that said, "Glory to the martyrs," glorifying, dignifying the barbarians who butchered and beheaded babies just a few weeks ago in Israel. It was disgusting.
You know, but I don't understand these universities. I mean, you know, they're weak. They're cowards. I mean, I mean, it's sort of the appeasement that, you know, that we read about in history. I mean, it's like, look, I mean, where is it okay to cut a baby's head off or to cut, you know, innocence? I mean, where are these places that it's like, you know, sort of, you know, they give, like, look at Congressman Rashida Tlaib. I mean, doesn't she see the same things the rest of us do?
Well, Rashida Tlaib clearly has an agenda. It's not an agenda that's grounded in truth. It's certainly not an agenda that's grounded in the United States. She is giving cover to some of the worst elements when she is still on her Twitter feed, at least as of earlier this afternoon, still has a tweet about Israel intentionally bombing the hospital, a claim that was never right in the first place. It was Islamic Jihad. I mean, the whole thing is so sick. But the real question that you are asking is the right one. These university leaders, why do they lack the moral clarity on Jew hatred that they have for every other perceived grievance, every other imaginable transgression? Why is it when Jewish women are raped, they call that resistance? When babies are, again, burned alive in their cribs, they call that decolonization. The sickness here, the rot here is so deep. we really need a wholesale cleansing in order to fix what's wrong, I think, with these institutions.
But it's not even just a few institutions.
No,
Mine,
it's
University of Wisconsin, Madison, Georgetown, where I went to law school, Harvard, Columbia, NYU. I mean, you name it. I mean, every single school. All of a sudden, we peel back the curtain on these schools.
Yeah.
And it's incredible.
Well, let's be honest. In the 1930s, there were many institutions that were pro-Third Reich in the United States. I was mentioning this earlier to one of your producers. 1939, Greta, after Kristallnacht, after the Nuremberg laws, there was a rally in Madison Square Garden. 20,000 people came out to praise Hitler and the Third Reich. Flash forward to today, the moral weakness of these university leaders, of these activists, it is like celebrating what the Nazis did, 70, 80 some odd years ago. It's scary that history repeats itself. But I will tell you this is not a partisan issue. On the right and on the left.
No, it's humanity. It's just basic humanity.
Exactly.
Just basic humanity.
Human issue. And I'm so glad you're talking about it here on the show.
Jonathan Greenblatt, thank you very much for joining us. I do hope you come back. I regret that we're going to have a lot to talk about, I think.
I look forward to that.
Thank you.